Hi everybody, welcome back to GearGossip. It's summer and I'm sitting in my studio doing a video for you. Not playing with my daughter, no, doing a video. And it's summer and you can easily tell it's summer because my neighbor, this is the noise that you might get through this microphone. He just stopped lawn mowing his 20 by 20 garden for hours. Today it's about something not completely, but a bit different that I will try, and you tell me afterwards if you liked it or not. The approach. It's about acoustic preamps, to put a nutshell on it, as I did on the AD10, but the AD10 is something like, skipping through the manual for hours and trying very hard to understand what's going on. These are the devices that you could call them what you see is what you get. You have a dial for reverb, more reverb, and that's it. No menu, no sub things. Press and hold this and then turn that, and then you have the feedback amount. No, it's just one dial for a function, a switch that does something, and only that. The what you see is what you get. So what we have is we start with cheap and end with expensive. This is what I found for what you see is what you get editors. The cheapest and smallest is the cheapest. The smallest is the Waleton. No idea. Dapper Acoustic Mini, featuring compressor, notch filter, equalizer, and reverb. 100 euros at the moment. So that's the cheap one. A little bit less cheap is the next one. It's the AC3 by Zoom. With let's put it mildly, quite a bit more options, as there are equalizer, multi-effect, compressor, boost function, reverb, and this target and source guitar. And this is some circuits that make your piezo sound a little bit less like a piezo. At least that's the intention. In and out, and the battery. 250 euros at the moment. 290 euros at the moment is the tone deck by Fishman. Yeah, we're talking acoustic things. Fishman has to be in there because that's what you associate with amplifying acoustic guitars, isn't it? Pickup Fishman, amp Fishman. What's in there? Compressor, 3-band EQ, multi-effect, chorus, flanger and tremolo, and delay and reverb, and some switches. 290 euros. And now things get really painful. We have two more devices and they're 400 euros at the moment. One is this made in the USA acoustic fly rig by Tech 21 New York City, featuring compressor, notch filter, equalizer, reverb, delay, chorus. That's it. And it's small. Not so small for 400 euros is the next one and the last one. This is the A-Station. The Transit A by Trace Acoustic, Trace Elliot. The elder ones might remember Trace Elliot bass amplification. Now this is acoustic. Nice and black. And what do you see? What do you have? Boost, chorus, delay, tap tempo, reverb. And that's what is in there. Right? That is what you see is what you get. And what you don't see and get anyway is a compressor. More on this later. So now you might think, what's up with this guy? Usually he's going with, great detail about every single dial, which is what I'm not going to do with 5 devices. Quite the contrary. I hope this was the right word. I'm going for features, what you need them for, and what device is the right one for you, if you need that feature. And before I do this, one more general approach. What do you need it for? Well, some people will need it just as a multi-effect, an additional treatment to your sound, and some will need everything to be heard at all. Example, what's your usual acoustic amp? To me it's an IR. One channel with 3-band EQ, the second channel is 2-band EQ, and the third channel is not existent. If I'm the acoustic player for channel 1, I might just need a delay in the chorus, and the rest is because my IR is doing the same thing that I need. On the other hand, I played a gig with a singer and me, and she had a microphone, I had a microphone, and both were going for the IR, for the reverb and the mixing, and the guitar was through an active speaker and my not for sale 85 by Boss. And the Boss luckily had a reverb, 4-band EQ, and all the stuff that I need to get a good sound. So that's the aux in, no treatment whatsoever channel approach. So this is, I need everything to be heard, to be treat my sound, and others just need a multi-effect or the compressor. Now for the features. The first thing that you might need is a tuner. Almost all of them have a built-in tuner, more or less. The only thing that doesn't have a tuner is the Fishman tone deck. And then if you really, really need a tuner and you just to dump to get one of these small things to clip on your guitar, hands off the Fishman because it doesn't have a tuner. So the next thing that you might need is equalizer. Who needs an equalizer? Well, if you have a big acoustic amp or a mixing desk, anyway, you might not need it. And if you have one of these show-stopping onboard built-in equalizers, you know, that move, and you might not need it, with the exception of different sound, just solo switch or strumming, finger picking sound. Then you might need something that is switchable. And if you play a guitar like I do that has no controls whatsoever, you might need a big multi-band semi-parametric thingy, maybe. So what is in these devices? Well, actually, all of them have at least 3 bands of EQ. Good news. If you need more than this, you're a bit limited on options. The first thing to be mentioned is the tone deck by Fishman, because it has a rumble filter. It's a 40, 80, 160 Hertz that cut the low frequencies. These are the boom frequencies that you can really, really enjoy when you're playing as the only instrument, acoustic guitar, beside the drummer. The bass drum. You can get rid of this with this switch. If you need the opposite, a low pass filter or high cut, the only option is the fly rig, because it has a dial for low pass filter that you can use for getting rid of the highest hiss, or if you're in noisy environments with a lot of neon lights. Parametric mids, which is something I'm a fan of. It's the fly rig again. This is the most it's the only one actually with semi-parametrics. And if you need it switchable, solo, different sound, you're limited on options because it's only this mini Dapper. Sorry folks, this is the only one with a dedicated switch. Well, it's not exactly true, because the Sansup again has a switch for switching on the equalizer, but it's this tiny knob here. Again, if you just need this equalizer for 2 different sounds, like this is a strumming or scooped sound, don't fear the Reaper. And the next thing is Blackbird. You need more mid-range, you need more clarity. For finger picking, you can always bend down and switch it on and off. But if you need it in a song, strummy solo, the only thing that does that is the Dapper Mini. But there's a drawback also. More on this later. The next thing is compression. What is compression? I don't want to explain what compression does, but there's, to me, 2 types of compression for acoustic guitars. One is just gently reducing the piezo attack and getting rid of the worst differences between full strum and flat picking, for example, on slapping and all this stuff. And the other one is really audible, strong compression that is an effect and not a treatment of audio, really audible as compression. And again, we have this, what kind of parameters do we have and what kind of control do we have? Is this an always on or is it switchable? Well, the first thing, just level out the acoustic nature of piezo pickup. So the gentle stuff. all of them can do this. Settled. Do you need something that is able to be switched on and off as a boost, as a solo sound, as an effect? You only have two options. The Dapper and the Fly Rig both have switches for their compressor, and they had really, really strong compressors. Both can be adjusted that they're insanely loud and insanely strong. Yeah, so strong that they're almost unusable at extreme settings. Well, they are unusable in extreme settings. That's the on-off compressor. Well, that said, if you have an on-off compressor, you don't have compression on your regular playing, okay? The other two that have an always-on compressor with a dial are the AC3 and the Tone Deck. And the oddity is the Transit A, because no dial but compression in there. The gain, the higher the gain gets and the more input comes in, the higher the compression. This thing, as you will see in the audio examples, will light up green and will switch to yellow when compression is applied and red when things are clipping. So to get your right amount of compression for your playing style, output and input make the deal. No switch, no dial, it's the gain and the master. Acoustic guitarist unfriendly, but every electric guitarist knows what to do. The next thing that I'm completely addicted to is reverb. We need a good reverb. All 5 have reverb. Settled. Does any of these devices have parameters to be adjusted? Not really. Well, the Mini Dapper and the Transit A, the big one, the €400 thingy, has just one reverb and just mix in. The Fly Rig at least has 2 settings, small and large, room and hall. The Tone Deck has 2 different reverbs, normal and modulated, I guess, and a dedicated time dial, how long the reverb should be, thank you, and the level dial, mix dial. The drawback is switchable. Reverb is switchable on all of these devices, okay? It shares the dial with the delay. You can only have delay or reverb, not both. Wow. And the oddity is the Acoustic Creator AC3, because it has 2 reverbs. One is this always-on reverb dial here. If you don't want this, just turn the mix down. This is the always-on reverb, and if you want to have additional bigger reverb, you can have your special effect setting like hall reverb and add it. So you have 2 levels of reverb. So who's the winner? If you really want to have adjustable length of your reverb, always is the Fishman. If you want 2 levels, it's the AC3. There's something on my microphone, isn't it? Delay, the echo, the next thing, something that I really, really dig is a time-based effect called the delay. Which of these devices do have a delay? All of them, except for the Dapper. No delay in there. Sorry, folks. Do we have parameters for the delay? Of course we have, on all these devices. With the AC3 shining brightly because it has 3 different delays. In the multi-effect section, the Fishman, again, 2 different delays, normal delay, modulated delay, but delay or reverb, not both. And the Sense Amp, also delay. I think, personally, a delay that is not tappable and just with a time knob is a broken delay. I need a tap. If I have a delay, I need a tap, be it an external switch or a built-in switch. If you need tap delay, you need the Fly Rig or the Transit A. Only those 2 have a tap delay. The next thing is chorus. I don't know why, but chorus is the go-to effects for acoustic guitars. It's not phaser, tremolo, pitch shifter, overdrive. All these pedals have chorus? No. The Dapper doesn't get it. It's only reverb, equalizer, and compression. No multi. Okay? Here we go. All the other 4 pedals do have chorus. Switchable? Switchable on all devices, of course. What kind of controls and parameters do we have? Well, the chorus on the Transit A is, for example, switchable with a dedicated switch and 1 dial. Just more of it. nothing else. The fly rig has one dial effects level for chorus. If you're using chorus on this one, you don't have delay. The Transit A does have delay and chorus at the same time. The tone deck has two chorus with a rate and a level dial, two different, at the same time with a delay or reverb. And the AC3, the big one, has three parameters to be adjusted, but not at the same time with the delay. It's chorus or delay. You could also ask for more than this, just the chorus. Multi-effects. We only have two devices that offer more than just the basic chorus. It's the tone deck, the Fishman, because it has two chorus and a flanger and a tremolo on the same modulation part at the same time as delay. And the AC3 has two chorus, modulated reverb, hall reverb, tremolo and pad. Pad is some kind of shimmer. Multi-effects, AC3 or Fishman. I'd go more multi-effect for the AC3, but the tone deck is pretty strong also, I think. The next thing for acoustic guitars would be, I give you a small hint, feedback, acoustic feedback on acoustic guitars. What do you need for this? A phase switch for the real rough stuff, and maybe a notch, maybe a manual with a dial or an automatic notch filter that is cutting the frequency. Let's start with the Dapper. Does the Dapper have it? It does. There is a notch filter with a dial, how strong the notches and the frequency. That's the way to go. There's two things I don't like with it. As with all these pedals, almost every pedal, you have to bend over and adjust, and sometimes when you bend over, the feedback stops because you're moving the acoustic guitar out of the hotspot and you cannot adjust anything. And the other thing is just a showstopper. Oh, just a minute. No. That's why I love my 85. It's mounted to a microphone stand, and when things start whooping, I let it rumble. Woo, frequency. Thank you very much. Not on the floor. The second bummer with this thing is it's connected to the preamp. So if you want to switch on the equalizer, you're switching on your notch filter also. This is dear Welton. Please use your brains, please. The Transit A just has one dial, off and frequency. The tone deck has a phase switch and nothing else. The Transit A, okay, has also a phase switch. The Sans amp has also a notch filter that is switchable, not by foot, but by this tiny little thing here. And the AC3 has an automatic anti-feedback circuit that is initiated with this thing here. Okay, this is bending over again and waiting for things to stop rumbling. Now it also has a foot switchable thing. Oh, thank you. Wait for the rumble. Steppy, footy, weighty. Okay, and the fly rig has a phase switch. So if you really think getting rid of feedback with a manual control, the best manual control for me is on the Dapper actually, with the connection between the equalizer and the notch filter. And if you need automatic, it's the AC3. The others are just very basic to me. The next what you might want to use on a multi-effect for acoustic guitar is something that gets rid of that piezo. Are there things in there that get rid of that? Only on the Transit A there is this pre-shaped thingy here that is some sort of loudness that really works pretty well. The others don't have. And the AC3 has two things. One is this pickup style selector, piezo magnetic or off. I tried my very best to hear a mentionable difference, but I didn't. And the other thing is these two dials here. This is target and source guitar, where you can really adjust things. My guitar is supposed to be a jumbo or a 12 string or a parlor size or triple O, and there's some fine tuning on the other side that you don't have to use. You cannot switch it off. It's always on, and it doesn't sound too bad. So if you think, if I have to use a blank piezo sound, I really have to run off screaming. You won't get around the AC3, sorry. Now next thing to be checked is boost. One louder, 11. This is suitable for different playing styles or a solo part. It's not that easy to say. It's not just a dial that says boost and has a switch. It might also be an equalizer or a compressor that you can use as a boost because it has enough output. Well, actually, the Dapper and the Sensamp can use their compressor as a boost. The output is tremendous. The Sensamp, on the other hand, has a dedicated boost switch and a dial, as well as the Transit A, dedicated boost switch and a according dial. The Fishman has a boost switch with a dial on the side, where it doesn't belong, actually. And okay, I admit there wasn't enough space because we have to write tone DAC that big on this aluminium profile here. So we had to do boost level here. AC3 has a boost switch and the dial. Everything is fine except for Dapper maybe and the Fishman because it's just a little bit crummy to access them. Next thing that could be important for some people is battery power. Playing outdoors without any sort of strangely enough, the smallest two things don't run on battery, and the biggest obviously doesn't run on batteries. The tone DAC and the AC3 run on batteries. What I don't like is when they don't say in the manual if you can use or if you cannot use rechargeables. I'm not the biggest fan of regular batteries. There's something poisonous to them, okay? What's even worse if they write down, don't use rechargeables. I'm not talking about these devices, but it's just a basic rant. If you construct a pedal and you don't construct it the way that you can use batteries that are rechargeable, quit constructing pedals, please. The next thing would be routing. What do we have? What kind of things go in there and what kind of things go out of this? The Mini Dapper, small, tiny, in and out. In and out is something that all of these devices have. But this one has also a dedicated knob for headphones and an XLR out, usable at the same time. You have 3 outs with the same signal. Same thing, almost for the fly rig. The fly rig has in and out and an XLR. And this out could also be a phones with this switch. This switch makes this socket headphone level. So if the guy at the mixing desk 30 yards away is fast asleep, strum a chord and hit this button and he will be awake within minutes. But things can get better. Like on the tone DAC, we have an in and we have an out. And we have a DI out. And this DI out could be the same signal as this socket and could also be pre without any effects, just the input and the boost level and the plain signal for recording purposes. The Transit A, it takes the whole thing a little bit further. Input, dry out, this is for tuners and something else. This is just buffered, the same thing that goes in. Aux in for playbacks, phones, DI pre, DI post, and mono or stereo outs for your amps. Perfect. And the mixed bag for me is the AC3 is you have an in, you have an output, but the stereo out, one of these is the phones also. So if you plug in a stereo socket, it's headphones, but what's up with the stereo then? Because this is the mono if you use it. I don't get it. This is the balanced out left and right, but if you press this one, the left one is pre and the right one is post. And can we just have a socket for each function, please? I don't want to guess what kind of signal is coming out of this. But you might have noticed dedicated level for headphones. Only the smallest, the Dapper. So if you need headphones also. Now one of the last thing is the build quality, because some of them look really small and shabby and are cheap, and some are really expensive, and this is not really the way things are. Let's start out with the cheapest, the Dapper. The Dapper is shabby looking, cheapo printing, but it's goddamn solid. It's just a brick. It's silent or very bright sounding switches, nothing wobbling, nothing squeaking. It's just a solid piece of defending yourself off stage. I don't know how much full hits these dials can take, but they turn pretty hard, so they're not that easily to be moved by a foot. The next thing in terms of solid is the Transit A. Weight and strong builds and very good switches. My second favorite. The fly rig is solid on top, but the floor is rattling, and these dials are wobbling back and forth, and I don't know if they can take one hit. And they're on the same level as these low travel, short travel switches. So one, reverb on, and zack, gone is the mid shift. I'm not sure, but I would defend myself off stage with this thing also, but not as far as with the Weldon. Next would be the AC3, which is very heavy, and I don't know how much abuse these wood thingies will take. It's not wood, it's just printed. I really like that these switches are angled, because you will use your foot anywhere like this and not above an H. And all these dials are hidden from harm. I like all these dials, don't feel too shabby, and there's nothing creaking or wobbling. Which leads directly to the Fishman. Well, Fishman, as I said in the beginning, the mainstay in acoustic processing, isn't it? Well, while these dials are really, really nice and a good feeling and a good construction, and this is aluminium as far as I think, the rest is plastic. The worst kind. This is the lightest pedal of them, and beneath these switches it's also plastic, and that leads to the loudest switches of these 5. This is nothing for church actually. Solo, zack. Is so cheapo sounding and feeling, this whole thing. This is really, really, really a shame. Sorry, Fishman. This is beyond me. Sorry. Now, these were all these things that I found out while fooling around. Is there a recommendation for me, for you? Well, I think for me there's 2 clear winners for my approach. It's the Dapper. Because I basically, in most cases, I just need another channel for an acoustic amp. I don't use a tremolo, I don't use a flanger, I don't use a delay, unfortunately. And if I use a delay, I have a delay for $100. This is your additional channel, and the reverb is not that shabby. And for late at night rehearsal, you have a dedicated headphone dial. And if I would go further than that, I'd get rid of any other device, and then I need something for piezo treatment, and I would go for the AC3. Well, no questions here, because I have a permanent reverb, I have a permanent compressor. That's the way that I would use it. I have a boost and I have a decent effect, and I have a 4th external switch for anti-feedback, and it's the second cheapest thing here. I also liked pretty much the Transit A, with an exception that I will show you now, because now we go for something that we completely missed. It's sound. Now for sound, I will not show you everything. I will just show you things that really were extraordinarily good or bad. I will show you things that are worth mentioning. If I don't mention things, they are all right. What I noticed was on the Waleton was the reverb for $100, not too shabby. On the other hand, on the Sans amp, the large reverb was a little bit on the springy side, to put it like this. Both compressors on the Waleton and the Sans amp can be really, really powerful, more than you will ever need, promise. A surprise in the bad things was the Fishman, aside from the things that I already mentioned, is the noise level. I have a serious hum. And hiss, which is extremely apparent if you're using the tremolo. Maybe this is a bomb unit. Maybe it's because somebody says, you should have used the original Fishman wall ward. If so, the one that I'm using with the same specs is not too shabby also. And all other 5 did not hum. Okay, and too much hum, too much rumble, too loud switches. But on the other hand, positive is this low cut. Could be a lifesaver on some stages. And the really, really good sounding reverb. This is the best sounding unit, of course, because it has this treatment for your guitar. The others don't have something like this. So this is a little bit unfair. Everything is the way that I think is supposed to be. Okay, maybe 2 compressor settings for solo. Maybe, but then things would get complicated again. The only thing that I do not like with this, you have an anti-feedback button, so you don't have to bend over for getting the best out of the feedback circuit without anything. Just play on. But they did not manage to put another plug in here for a tap delay. If there was a tap delay, it would be close to perfect. What I really liked here on this AC3 is also this pad thing. This is now a last word on the Transit A. It sounds very British. This is a device that I think has a sound, especially if you're using the compressor. The compressor is not very mellow or broad. It's a aggressive sounding thing, and the reverb also is very tinny, metallic sounding reverb. This is the reason why I would not use it, because I don't like it. But if you have this sort of sound, here are examples. this might be the kind of sound that you can use for an acoustic guitarist in a band where you have a bass player and the drummer, and you want to have your rocking acoustic sound to cut through when you're doing solos. So the reverb might be a switch-on thing as an apparent effect cutting through a whole band. Then it might be the right kind of sound. But for me, as a standalone guitarist, it is unfortunately not. What I did like is this illumination. You don't get lost what is on and what is not, and where are your dials, just like on the Dapper. Again, after all this sound and things, again, Valiton or the AC3, these are my favorites. Sorry folks, just because the fly rig is just a tad too expensive for me. The Trace Acoustic has the wrong basic sound for my tastes, and the Tone Deck Acoustic FX Pre-EQ DI has just too many mistakes. Sorry folks. And now I'm gonna pack things up. If you're gonna check out one of these, please do it through the links beneath this video, description, clicky, and get them through these links and make me earn some cents for this video, okay? See you.